What's up everybody? So today's video we're going to talk about the cold air intake that I installed on the Z just about a week and a half ago. I have the AAM Competition Cold Air Intake for the 370Z. Basically going to go over, was it worth any money? Did it do anything? Do I notice anything different now that the car has a cold air intake? So to start off with the stats, I do not have technical stats. I did not dyno the car before and after, so technically I do not know if it added any horsepower or torque. I don't have the numbers. However, when I was researching looking to buy an air intake for the car, I looked at a lot of forums, and so many people time and time again with all the different long tube cold air intakes for these cars show dyno graphs before and after without even tunes and seeing a 10 to 15 horsepower and torque increase. So a lot of people without even tuning the car were seeing a pretty good difference. Now to talk about a few misconceptions some people have talked about, they said that with this system you're now restricting airflow because the air filter is located in the bumper and you're not getting airflow. Well, when you look at the stock setup, the stock air boxes connect right to the front radiator support and are sucking air directly from underneath the front bumper above the crash bar. So this system is getting the air from the exact same spot that the stock one is. So while I don't have dyno graphs to back up anything I say, I do have the trusty butt dyno. So driving the car, have I noticed any change in the vehicle's performance? Genuinely, I actually have. I feel like the engine revs smoother, it doesn't choke in the higher RPM, and it actually revs a little bit quicker. So second gear. It's really, really quick. It definitely feels better than stock. It's not like it's a twin turbo kit, you know, crazy power holding me back in the seat, but first and second gear, especially when I floor it, it just revs quicker than I was used to. I remember in first gear, if I pin it, I always know when to shift and it's the same time frame every time. This time when I first got on the car after about 100 miles of driving it pretty conservatively, I floored it in first gear and I had to shift a little bit quicker than I was expecting, and then same with second gear. And then when you get into the top of the RPM range, past 6,000 RPM, it doesn't seem to choke anymore. So dropping it now to third gear and we'll do an acceleration. Just keeps pulling. It just keeps pulling and it just, I don't know, it's different. It doesn't have that same somewhat, like it's lacking air in that high RPM near red line. It just kind of keeps pulling. The engine gets louder rather than trying to get muffled or something like that. It feels stronger. And then as far as the actual power curve, it just seems more linear. When you accelerate, it's smooth. It's just really, really, really smooth. It's hard to completely describe that, but it's just the way it revs. There's no flat spots. It's just really, really linear, and I notice a difference. I do notice a difference. So now we'll do from first gear. It is so much quicker. It's definitely quicker. Like going from second to third, there was no little lag or anything. It just hooked the gear, got traction, and just took off. It's a smoother performing engine. The car just seems a little bit more refined. Now as far as intake air temperatures go, because some people are going to ask, cold air intake, you would think the intake air temperatures should be pretty close to ambient. So this whole time I've been running my torque app with the OBD2 adapter, checking out my intake temperatures and all that kind of stuff. So right now it is 73 degrees outside, my oil temperatures are about 200, coolant temperature is right in the center where it should be, and my air intake temperature is 78.8 right now. So it's just a few degrees over ambient temperature. I've done some pulls, so it's pretty hot in the engine bay. And I know from popping the hood after I've been driving a while, the metal pipes that connect right to the throttle bodies, those are very, very hot. You're talking about an aluminum pipe in an engine bay, so obviously that's pretty hot. However, you then have over a foot length of rubber silicone piping connecting to the other piece of aluminum piping to then connect to the air filter. So there really shouldn't be any heat transfer from the pipe on the throttle body to the pipe where the air filter is and obviously where it's getting the air from. So there really is no heat soak. If I let the car sit for a while, that pipe is obviously going to get pretty toasty under there. But as soon as you accelerate a little bit, you have most of the piping is probably pretty close to ambient temperature and you're getting a nice flow of cooler air, not in the engine bay, and it's got plenty of airflow to it so it can get fresh air. So even after just slowing down, the throttle bodies are closed as I'm not on the gas, so not much airflow is getting in. We're still around that 78 mark, actually exactly the same as what we were. So intake air temperatures are 5 degrees above ambient. Can't really ask for much more than that unless I did a methanol injection or something like that. But It is a colder intake. We're still getting nice fresh air. The fitment, I think it looks really, really good. It almost looks like a twin turbo kit under there. It looks really cool. The install wasn't too bad, but more importantly, it's so smooth. That's ridiculous. That seriously is different. I'm not just saying that to try to say, oh, buy a performance part, it's cool, just do it anyway. It's genuinely, it made a difference in the car, and I really like it. I like it a lot. And as far as sound goes, I don't know if I really notice anything different as far as the sound goes. I will be doing a comparison with the stock versus this just to see if outside the car there's anything different. Now, another thing really cool with this intake, and kind of the main reason why I went with the AAM brand over the other long tube intakes, is it is tunable. Those inserts that you saw me put in for the installation video, if I take them out and tune the car, I can get just that much more power with a tune. Now already, with the way it sits, I can tune it and get more power out of it, but taking them out, it'll open up the actual diameter of the piping so they can tune it for more air and more fuel, and therefore make a little bit more power. Those things are going to be a little bit hard to get out, but I'm sure with the right extraction tool I can easily pull them out, so that's not really a big issue at all. So I like the fact that they're tunable. The fitment was great. Customer service with AAM is really, really good. They are very responsive when I called them about the kit. I had questions about it. They walked me through how it's going to go with the install, and they were very helpful along the way. So at the end of the day, a cold air intake for your 370Z, I think it might actually be worth it. It opened up the car. It feels a little better. It's so much smoother. Like before, I feel like it kind of fell flat at 6,500 RPM, and I think that's kind of where the peak horsepower is. But even up to 7,000 and a little bit more than that, it seems like it's just still pulling. So I genuinely like it. I would recommend it. The AAM brand one I would pick if I were you, just because you have the tuning capabilities. It's not just a one-size-fits-all and then tune it for what that intake is. You can run it stock the way it is, get you a little bit more power, take those inserts out and tune it for even just a little bit more power than what the competitor intakes are going to offer. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out AAM's website in the description below. Awesome parts for all the cars. Definitely check them out. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you all next video.